A Middle East hostage and ceasefire deal is tentatively reached in the days before Trump's inauguration, and Sleepy Joe thinks he did it. Meghan Markle will never make fetch happen, and Drake is suing his own record label over sour grapes in a lost rap battle. It's time for my losers of the week, but first a word from our wonderful sponsor. As we welcome a new year, it's time to focus on what matters most, creating healthier habits, enjoying more moments with family, and spending less money on going out to eat. GoodRanchers.com is here to help you turn all of your resolutions into solutions. When you buy your meat from Good Ranchers, you're directly supporting local farms and ranches in the U.S. and skipping the chaos and imported meat in the grocery store. Good Ranchers delivers high-quality, 100% American meat straight to your door so you can start 2025 with better choices, better meals, and better moments at home. Remember to visit GoodRanchers.com and use my code Tomi to claim $25 off, free express shipping, and your choice of free ground beef, chicken, or salmon in every order for an entire year. If spending more time with family, spending less money on going out to eat, and enjoying quality, nutritious American food is on your resolution list this year, then be sure to visit GoodRanchers.com and use my code Tomi today for meat that delivers just that. GoodRanchers.com, American meat delivered. Before I name my losers of the week this week, I have to give credit where credit is due. While Gavin Newsom is not on this particular list this week, he is the loser of the entire month of January, and it would just be redundant to name him week after week. But speaking of giving credit where it's due, my first loser this week is someone that after this week, we will no longer have to endure. He will forevermore be Jill Biden's problem, but for now, he is still ours. The good news is a hostage deal has been tentatively reached between Israel and Hamas. That is the important part here, but it's still just comical that Joe thinks he did this. The war started by Hamas terrorists has been raging for 15 months, and Joe has done little outside of lecture Israel on restraint. Oh, and that aid pier he had built with your money that broke apart. Now, I'll be fair here. It's not to say folks in his administration didn't work on brokering this tentative deal and didn't contribute. I'm sure they did. But for Team Ice Cream Cone to take full credit is really something.
Thank you.
Brooks, credit for this, Mr. President, you or Trump?
Is that a joke? Oh, thank you.
He's a joke. And his own State Department spokesperson said Trump's involvement was critical. But it doesn't take a State Department person to figure that one out. A little over a month ago, President-elect Trump warned Hamas if they failed to release all of the remaining hostages by his inauguration, there would be, quote, all hell to pay. He vowed to retaliate by hitting them harder than anybody has been hit in the long and storied history of the USA. And he's repeated that promise in writing and out loud since. So here we are about 5 days before his January 20th deadline, and lo and behold, a deal has tentatively been reached. And Joe thinks it was all him. Sure, buddy. Well, at least he's consistently delusional, but like I said, he is almost not our problem anymore. And guess who else should just take a hint and go away? Meghan freaking Markle. After trashing the royal family, accusing them of racism, destroying her husband's relationship with his own family, and then getting booted from Spotify for underperforming and pure laziness, well, she's back with yet another rebrand. Netflix decided to bite this bullet by giving her a fluff series called With Love, Meghan.
I'm going to share some little tips and tricks. I see what color I gravitate to, and everything goes from there. And how you can incorporate these practices every day. We're not in the pursuit of perfection. Woke us all up. We're in the pursuit of joy. Love is in the details.
The series announcement went over like a lead balloon, so in an attempt to further recoup her image, she decided to stage a sympathy tour with LA fire victims. Rightfully, she was brutally called out for it and labeled a disaster tourist, which she definitely is. And I think I speak for all of us when I say we'd sure love for Meghan and Harry to go back to our 51st state of Canada. And guess who they should take with them? Cry Baby Drake, my final loser this week. He is suing a branch of his own record label, UMG, over the wildly popular Kendrick Lamar diss track, Not Like Us. For those folks who don't keep up with rap battles, I'll sum it up for you. Drake and Kendrick Lamar went back and forth with diss tracks over a period of a few months, and with his song Not Like Us, Kendrick Lamar definitively won that battle. Part of what made the song so savage was Kendrick's pretty blatant accusation that Drake is a pedophile. That's also the basis of this lawsuit against UMG, which reps both rappers, albeit on different entities. The defamation lawsuit claims UMG, quote, approved, published, and launched a campaign to create a viral hit out of a rap track that was intended to convey the specific, unmistakable, and false factual allegation that Drake is a criminal pedophile, and to suggest that the public should resort to vigilante justice in response. Drake is also apparently salty that Kendrick accused him of appropriating black culture. Now, this lawsuit is not only petty, it's more embarrassing than the diss track allegations themselves. Drake, you lost a rap battle, get over it, and this is not helping your image. Those are my losers of the week. Joining me now is media personality and gender madness author, a lot to talk about, Oli London. All right, Oli, I got a lot to talk to you about. I have to go back to the beginning of my losers list. Not only do we have Joe Biden trying to take credit for a potential ceasefire and hostage deal, we had his farewell address to the nation last night in which he slurred and stumbled through a teleprompter speech from the Oval Office, which I thought was, really the perfect summation of what his tenure as president has been. I'm sure you saw it. What was your initial takeaway? Do you think that did him any justice?
Yeah, well, firstly, his farewell address sparked controversy on X because it was there was a live stream going on, and one of his staffers accidentally basically revealed that this farewell address was actually pre-recorded. The staffer was lining up this on the live stream with the shot of Biden already at his desk. So, that was the first thing that really caused the scandal on X. And then after that, during his speech, he's trying to take credit, claiming that his administration has been working for months on a hostage and ceasefire deal. Yet under his administration, these hostages, including 7 American hostages, have been held captive for 468 days. Suddenly, Trump has 1 month before office. He then says there will be all hell to pay in the Middle East if these people aren't released. And then suddenly the deal is reached with Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, who basically, many official sources in the Middle East said he basically did a deal in a day when Biden couldn't do a deal in 2 years. And then the other thing about this rambling speech by Biden was that he was, going on a tirade against social media platforms, calling out what he calls misinformation, disinformation. But, at the end of the day, he really is the king of purveying misinformation. His White House administration has been a disaster, full of, fake news, and, they can't even get their facts right. So it was a disastrous send-off for a disastrous president.
Yeah, and it was a little confusing last night on X because I too saw that claim that it wasn't a live stream, but then we saw the photos of people in the room and our own White House and reporters said that it was a live stream. So I believe it was, in fact, a live stream, but I did see what you're referring to, which was an aide possibly messing something up along the way. Again, it's really hard on X to tell what's real and what's not. I do believe, though, that it was, in fact, a live stream of him speaking. And in fact, I would assume it was a live stream because he slurred and bumbled so many times that if it was, in fact, pre-taped, I think they would have taken out all the stumbling and the bumbling and the end quote and the parts where I really couldn't even understand what he was saying. But nevertheless, it was a horrible send-off, and really it was indicative of his entire reign. I also thought it was interesting, to your point, that after everything he's done to my country, the United States of America, the fact that he is warning people to stand guard for oligarchs. He just awarded George Soros Citizens Medal just a couple weeks ago. And then furthermore, the fact that he's saying that free speech on social media should be your biggest concern when his Biden White House effectively worked to silence and censor conservatives and also censor very real stories and even opinions during COVID and the Hunter Biden laptop. I mean, that to me is just really rich. I actually have a clip of Joe Biden stumbling and bumbling through that accusation and that warning to the American people. Let's take a look for those who didn't watch the speech last night.
I'm equally concerned about the potential rise of a tech industrial complex that could pose real dangers for our country as well. Americans are being buried under an avalanche of misinformation and disinformation, enabling the abuse of power. The free press is crumbling. Editors are disappearing. Social media is giving up on fact-checking. The truth is smothered by lies told for power and for profit.
Yeah, I mean, that's incredibly rich there. We never actually got an apology as well from the Biden White House for their work to censor conservatives on what I mentioned, which would be free speech, especially surrounding COVID. I was personally targeted in that. So all this is a bunch of BS. But the thing about it is when he tells people to stand guard and now it's your chance to, take the reins and fight back against Donald Trump, I just don't think that there's an appetite for it. I don't think even Democrats want to endure one more day of trying to cover for Joe Biden and his mental failings. And I think everybody is very excited to close the page and close the book on Joe Biden, hand him back to Jill Biden. He is her problem now. But, speaking of social media, I'm sure that you're passionate about this as well. And I want to get your thoughts because we haven't discussed this. The impending TikTok ban that's causing a lot of Gen Zers to wet their pants. They're very worried that TikTok is going to go away over the weekend. What's your thoughts? Do you think it is, in fact, free speech for a communist platform to operate on U.S. soil? Or what do you think is going to happen with this potential ban?
Well, Trump has now called to delay the ban and try to, he wants to negotiate a deal to divest it to the US or prevent this ban at all costs. Because, Trump is a businessman and, he is saying that it is a platform for free speech. But we have heard, of course, in Congress before, we've heard the alarm bells, the fact that the Chinese Communist Party can direct ByteDance, which is TikTok's parent company, to basically give them information about the users. So there are 170 million US users on TikTok. And we have to look at it both ways. Of course, there are millions of Americans that are relying on this to promote small businesses. And, there are TikTokers that make a living as well. But there are also national security implications. The FBI director, Christopher Wray, said it was a serious threat. And we've heard, many members of Congress say that. And this particular ban was actually for TikTok to divest. So it's not a complete ban of the app. It's for it to be sold to a US company. And they've had about 9 months to do that. They haven't said that they will sell to a US company. There haven't been any agreements. There was rumors about Elon Musk, but that was kind of shut down the other day. But I think Trump will make a deal happen. He will, even the Biden administration now, there's 3 officials that spoke to Forbes earlier, basically saying they're also trying to stop this. But it's not a blackout ban. It's not simply you go on TikTok on Sunday and the app is just gone. This basically would force app stores like the Apple App Store and Google Play to stop providing the app and also just stop providing updates and bug fixes. So it basically mean the app wouldn't work after some time. So it doesn't mean like that, all these influencers are panicking right now, thinking that TikTok is gone on Sunday. It's not the case. And I think Trump is going to fix this. But I do think in the interest of national security and protecting Americans' data, it should not be owned by a company where the Chinese Communist Party can access that data.
Yeah. Again, I'm okay if they want to pause it and they want to figure out a way for Donald Trump to come in and get a deal done. I think it's also just very curious to me if TikTok is facing this and they don't want to do anything, they don't want to divest at all. They're willing to face a ban in the United States of America rather than divest or rather than sell. What does that say about what they're actually doing and their commitment to data gathering and what I believe is nefarious activity? It's very weird to me. If they're really going to dig in their heels that much, that tells me that this app is very, very valuable to the Chinese Communist Party. I know there's a lot of Gen Zers that shriek when I say that because they love watching the frickin' dances and stupid crap that they see on TikTok, and they feel that it's vital to their mental health and existence to be able to watch stupid crap on TikTok. I would remind them there's a lot of stupid crap on Instagram, and maybe Instagram will actually and Meta will actually be a free platform in the coming months and years. I'm not going to hold my breath on that, but at least it's owned by an American company, and at least we have some semblance of at least control in a very wide sense of the word over Meta, Facebook, those kind of things. I don't like TikTok. I'll never go on TikTok. And I understand that a lot of people love it. I don't want it to be banned. I want it to be divested from communist China. And I'm hoping that that can happen. I think Donald Trump is the person that I would entrust to get that over the line. Other things are being banned, though. It's wild. This is a crazy time. Red dye 3. Now, I don't know a lot of people that are like, no, we need red dye 3. We need bright cherry red colors that could cause cancer. But the FDA announced this ban yesterday. Of course, it's going to take a while for it actually to take effect. But what do you think? Is this a good move? Is this a strong move? Or does this impede upon the freedom of people to ingest dyes in their food and products?
Well, according to the FDA, this particular ingredient is linked to causing cancers. So at the end of the day, I think health should come first. And what's interesting, Tommy, is in America, something like a McDonald's French fry will have a lot more ingredients than it would in the UK or the European Union. So, the European Union is very strict. They already don't have red dye free, and there's a lot of ingredients they don't have, and they have a lot less ingredients in products. So I think in America, it is an issue with foods, with additives, with chemicals being added. And RFK Jr., is nominated to become Health and Human Services Secretary. He has pledged to make America healthy again, and try to promote eating organic food. We don't need all these additives and chemicals put in things. So I think this is according to the FDA, it's a harmful product that is linked to cancer. And at the end of the day, it is about protecting Americans. But there are a lot of products that use this. They did previously ban cosmetics in the 90s from having this product, but there are pharmaceutical products, candies, sugary drinks that have this. But it's red dye free is not the only chemical that's harmful. There are a lot of other chemicals added to these kind of junk foods.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think it's interesting that they would ban it in cosmetics, but then not ban it in food. I mean, I don't want it in my cosmetics either, but I would think it would be less detrimental in cosmetics than it would be in actually ingesting it into your body. More information just needs to be shared with the American people. And if these companies are able to make the same products in other countries without the red dye 3, but then they insist on using it in the US, I mean, there's really just no excuse for that. So I think that this, in terms of bans and regulations go, I think this is a positive step forward. Maybe more to come on that. I think education of the American people is also an important part of this. I want to talk about something else that's going on in Congress. We're really big into protecting women's sports. Conservatives apparently are the new feminists. Okay, it's not it's not a torch that we grabbed ourselves, but it was handed to us, and we're happy to run with it. I think it's very interesting, though, that Democrats in the U.S. are fighting so fiercely against protecting women's sports, and they're using every excuse in the book to justify voting against the Protecting Women and Girls in Sports Act. Here is House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries trying to justify this. I want to take a listen to it and then get your thoughts.
Their legislation is irresponsible. Effectively, what it would do is sanction, without any guardrails, adults, including predators, for engaging in inspections of genitalia in children as young as 4 years old. Now, in the sports arena, we've seen repeated instances of sexual abuse. Gymnastics, that's been the case. In wrestling, that's been the case. In football, that's been the case. And in many other areas. And to have the federal government weigh in aggressively and sanction this type of invasive inspections clearly would create a situation where childhood predators would be unleashed on the children of this country. And that's why you saw a significant number of Democrats say this is federal government overreach and it's unacceptable.
I've heard a lot of BS justifications in my day, but that one might be the most interesting. I want to give you my initial take, not just on protecting women and girls in sports, but also I want to weigh in on what we just heard from him, and I want to make sure that I understood this correctly. Maybe you can help me out. He's saying that by saying, the gender that you were born in is the gender you will compete in, and that is the facility that you will use, the locker room you will use based on your birth biology. He's saying that that would lead to 4-year-olds being inspected for their genitalia, and then it would open it up for predators to go check people's pants. That's a pretty big leap. I would say, but I want your take. What do you think? Is this unleashing the predators by protecting women and girls in sports?
I mean, those comments were ridiculous and complete fear-mongering. I mean, protecting girls and women is banning biological men going into their locker rooms, banning biological men being able to change and access a locker room where young girls are changing. That is a thing that is, protecting kids, and secondly, nobody's going to be going around inspecting people's, body parts and what they have, but it's it's very, very clear with this bill. It's banning, transgender people from competing in women's sports and, keeping them out of women's spaces as well. So what Hakeem Jeffries and, the Democrats do, they try to fearmonger, they try to, just distractions, blame games. But the real danger to kids and, young women and girls is allowing biological males in their sports, which leads to injuries. You also then have, of course, the locker rooms, the female spaces are being invaded by biological men. And, you don't know who these people are. They could just walk in there and claim that they're a woman. And, in some places that is allowed. So that is the real danger to kids. So, Hakeem Jeffries, his comments were ridiculous. And Fox News actually did reach out to his office and, they said the comments speak for themselves. So they didn't provide any clarification of what he was really trying to say. But, it was just typical Democrats deflecting, blame game and, fear mongering.
I'm wondering if they didn't learn anything from November 5th. I mean, I understand, and they'll point to this, transgender issues were not the top voting issues, but I would beg to differ. I think there's a lot of Americans out there that are moderate Republicans or moderate Democrats, independents, maybe they're not affiliated, and they think that the left has just gone way too far and not only made LGBTQ the platform of the Democrat Party over the economy and the border and protecting everybody and our rights, but they believe that this was an issue that was just too far for them. And I think that ad, and actually there's been research done on this, that Donald Trump ad, Kamala is for they, them, Donald Trump is for you, was highly effective, one of the most effective political ads in history. So I'm wondering, as we move forward here, do you think that the Democrat Party in the U.S. is going to come back to a realistic position on this issue and other issues, or do you think that they're going to triple down on the woke policies and the woke agenda that they push that caused them to lose in the first place?
The Democrats for the last few years have really been going to the extreme with this woke agenda. And like you said, they've alienated a lot of moderate Democrats. You can speak to many people now that would have voted Democrat their whole life. And in the last election, they voted for President Trump because they are, these woke issues, allowing men and women's sports, allowing, men and women's locker rooms and pushing this woke agenda on people and all this pronoun nonsense. That has pushed it too far. And then also when they're attacking children and, pushing this LGBTQI plus agenda on kids in kindergartens in some places and, pushing this so-called gender affirming care, that is taking it too far. And I think the vast majority of Americans draw the line when it comes to kids. So when the Democrats push their radical agenda, trying to, transition kids, pushing woke DEI on kids, all this critical race theory in schools, I think most sensible moderate Americans thought that was the red line. So they've really alienated a lot of the party. I don't think they're going to change, to be honest, because they've become so radicalized, like AOC, and with their beliefs, their anti-Israel stance, their belief that it's okay to transition kids, their belief that a man can become a woman. I don't know if there's any going back from that. It's, they should be embarrassed, to be honest. Biden and Kamala and their whole administration should be absolutely embarrassed. It's also embarrassing for America on the world stage when you see America's allies, like Israel, that have had this administration that flip-flops constantly all the time. They have mixed messaging. It shows a sign of weakness. So again, going back to the point at the start of the show is, I think that's why President Trump has already got this peace deal in the Middle East without taking office, because people respect him. People respect Trump. And I think the Democrats have really lost all respect over the last 4 years.
Yeah, and just the priorities are so out of whack. You can't push these special interests and these luxury issues on people that can't afford their groceries. And you take it too far and you lose people. I think the Republican Party has made great strides in the last 10 years in terms of LGBTQ and not being hateful and not being blatantly offensive. I think it's just been more of a do what you want to do, stay away from kids. I don't want to pay for it. Do what you want to do. And that's where I stand. That's where I've always stood on those issues. But I think it's actually caused such a problem that the left has gone so far left and has worked so hard to force this issue that you've lost a lot of people that really really are laissez-faire about it. Do what you want to do. Just stay away from kids. And then you push it and you push it and you push people. And I also think Donald Trump is very compassionate about this issue. I don't think he cares how people identify. I think that he just wants some common sense to be brought back into the conversation and to protect girls and to protect their sports and their opportunities. And that should be a place we can all come back to. I'm going to go from one bathroom issue to the last bathroom issue. It's been a heavy week. Next week's going to be a heavy week, a celebratory week, but also a heavy one. So I want to end our discussion with just a little test of how you feel about this. Starbucks has gone back and forth on this issue many times over the last several years, but it's their bathroom use policy. A lot of people are really angry that now Starbucks is saying, listen, if you want to use our bathroom, you got to buy something. Some people are saying, no, free the bathrooms, let homeless people use the bathrooms, let everybody use the bathrooms. Some people are saying, no, we don't want the bathrooms to be used by everybody if they're not customers. So in a light way to end our segment today, I'm wondering where you stand on Starbucks bathroom use policy.
Well, Starbucks actually opened up the toilets for public use in 2018 following the arrest of two black men that were not purchasing a product, and they basically called the police on them and got them arrested, and that caused the scandal, with BLM activists. So that's when Starbucks said they'll be inclusive, they welcome people into their spaces, But at the end of the day, you don't walk into a restaurant and just suddenly go to use the toilet without buying a drink or something. I think it is common sense. And, in cities like San Francisco, you do have the problem of, homeless people, addicts coming in just to use the toilet. And, there's a hygiene issue there. There's, they could be angry, they could be drunk. And that is not a good thing for customers. And I just think for most restaurants, you don't just walk into a restaurant and use the toilet unless it's like a emergency for a woman or something. But, I think I think this is a common sense policy, especially when you've got many Starbucks in liberal cities like San Francisco, where you do have this issue of homeless people. And, perhaps the city should provide public toilets for them or sort out the homeless issue, instead of having them on the streets, they should actually sort it out. So, I tend to agree with this. In most restaurants, you would be required to buy something, even a small drink or a cake. So I do tend to agree with this update.
Yeah. I think it's just common courtesy. A lot of people that use public restrooms or on road trips or whatever, but most people will at least buy a little something, because it's very shameful to just use the facility and then leave if you're not buying gas. Buy some gum. For goodness sakes, buy some mints at Starbucks. Everyone shouldn't have to put up with this free-for-all. And it's unfortunate that it's taken the corporate world by storm. I think that's going to end, though, because I think a lot of these companies are realizing that they will bend so far that they break, and maybe now they'll be emboldened to just, again, go back to reality. And I'm hoping for reality on January 20th. It's going to be a great day for America. I'm very excited about it. Thank you so much for joining me. I always appreciate your commentary, of course, on X and in social media. And I'll talk to you very soon.
Thanks, Tomi. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, folks, that does it for this Thursday episode of Tomi Lahren is Fearless. I will catch you right back here tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern, for my special Guardian Angel episode with Curtis Lewa. You don't want to miss this. He's got excellent insight into what's going on in New York City. Also, please do like and subscribe to the YouTube channel at Tomi Lahren is Fearless. From Nashville, God bless and take care. Hey, thanks for watching. If you want more of my hottest takes, must-see conversations, and of course, my final thoughts, click here and make sure you subscribe here so you never miss a beat. I'll be here every weekday, and I hope you'll join me.